Eurasianism is a political movement that has its origins in the Russian émigré community in the 1920s. The movement posited that Russian civilization does not belong in the European category, somewhat borrowing from Slavophile ideas of Konstantin Leontiev, and that the October Revolution of the Bolsheviks was a necessary reaction to the rapid modernization of Russian society. The Eurasianists believed that the Soviet regime was capable of evolving into a new national, non-European Orthodox Christian government in Eastern Europe and Siberia, shedding the initial mask of proletarian internationalism and militant atheism, to which the Eurasianists were strongly opposed. Some of the Eurasianists criticized the anti-Bolshevik activities of organizations such as ROVS, believing that the émigré community's energies would be better focused on preparing for this hoped-for process of evolution. In turn, their opponents among the émigrés argued that the Eurasianists were calling for a compromise with an even support of the Soviet regime, while justifying its ruthless policies, such as the persecution of the Russian Orthodox Church, as mere transitory problems that were inevitable results of the revolutionary process. The key leaders of the Eurasianists were Prince Nikolai Trubetzkoy, Pyotr Savitsky, Pyotr Suvchinsky, D.S. Mirsky, Konstantin Chkheidze, Pyotr Arapov, Lev Karsavin, and Sergei Efron. Philosopher Georges Florovsky was initially a supporter, but backed out of the organization, claiming it raises the right questions, but poses the wrong answers. Nikolai Berdyaev wrote that he may have influenced the Eurasianists' acceptance of the revolution as a fact, but he noted that a number of key Eurasianist tenets were completely alien and hostile to him. They did not love freedom as he did, they were statists, they were hostile to Western culture in a way Berdyaev was not, and they accepted orthodoxy in a perfunctory manner. In October 1925 a congress was held in Prague with the intention of creating a seminar. One of the participants was Vladimir Nikolaevich Ilyin, 1890–1974, a philosopher, theologian and composer from Kiev and not related to Ivan Ilyin, who has been presented in the literature by various authors as belonging to the group. Several members of the Eurasianists were affected by the Soviet provocational trust operation, which had set up a fake meeting of Eurasianists in Russia that was attended by the Eurasianist leader Prince Savitsky in 1926. The uncovering of the trust as a Soviet provocation caused a serious morale blow to the Eurasianists and discredited their public image. In the late 1920s, Eurasianists polarized and became divided into two groups: the left Eurasianists, who were becoming increasingly pro-Soviet and pro-communist, and the classic right Eurasianists, who remained staunchly anti-communist and anti-Soviet. After the emergence of left Eurasianism in Paris, where some of the movement's leaders became pro-Soviet, Trubetzkoy, who was a staunch anti-communist, heavily criticized them and eventually broke with the Eurasianist movement. The Eurasianists faded quickly from the Russian émigré community, also Ilyin left. By 1929, the Eurasianists had ceased publishing their periodical. Several organizations similar in spirit to the Eurasianists sprung up in the émigré community at around the same time, such as the pro-monarchist Mladorassy and the Smenovikovci. During the mid-1930s, representatives of the Eurasianist movement who had settled in the Soviet Union were suppressed during the Stalinist purges, and émigré Eurasianists had mostly scattered throughout Europe. By 1938, any organized Eurasianist movement had ceased to exist. In the late 1940s, George Orwell gave this enemy Eurasia a demonic public face in his dystopic 1984 novel. Early proponents of Eurasianism in the West argued that control of the Eurasian heartland was the key to geopolitical dominance. It influenced Oswald Spengler, and on the extreme right, the American white nationalist and neo-Nazi Francis Parker Yockey, the Belgian Nazi collaborator Jean-François Thiriart, and interwar German National Bolsheviks.